Mary, it's okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to be here. Have you had a great weekend?
Yeah.
Been to lots of comedy gigs already?
Yeah.
How many have you been to? 2? 3? 1?
This is the second.
Second? Any advance on 2? 2. Phil, you must have been to more than 2.
4.
4? Any?
5 including
Oh!
probably
5? Rachel says 5. Any advance on 5? 5? No, it's going to Rachel at the back. 5, you get 3. Brilliant. So yeah, I'm Mary, and I thought I would start off by telling you a story of probably my most embarrassing moment, because we all have them, don't we? We all have that thing that lives in the back of our brain where you remember and you get those cold shivers of wishing that the ground had opened up underneath you, but it really happened and nobody came to rescue you. Well, my one, thankfully, was a very long time ago. I've moved many times, and I've changed my name since then, so they will never find me. But I was at a work conference. What makes this even better, Rachel, is that this is a Church of England work conference. There was at least one bishop there. And it was a residential affair. And you arrived in the afternoon and settled into your room, and then, we all had dinner together. And it was one of those places that, clearly thought it was quite classy, but wasn't. And the reason I know that this was true was that on top of the dessert was a glacé cherry. Now, personally, I think glacé cherries are an abomination. But equally, I didn't want to be that fussy person who left half the dinner on the side of the plate. So I did what I thought was the socially acceptable, polite thing to do. But I have a word of advice. When you're having dinner with a bunch of people you're potentially trying to impress or don't know very well, don't ask if anybody wants your cherry. So when I was 24, I got married, and it might surprise you to know that I got married to a man. Because I know what you're all thinking. You looked at me and you went, "But Mary, we assumed you were a lesbian." And you'd be absolutely right. But what you have to understand is that I grew up in Norfolk in the 1980s, and they hadn't invented lesbians. How was I supposed to know, And when I came out, the general consensus was that nobody was very surprised. Apparently not even my about-to-be ex-husband, who looked at me and went, "Yeah, I always thought you were probably a lesbian." I've got so many questions. How does it? Why did you go out with me? Why the fuck didn't you tell me? We could have saved so much time. Ridiculous. But no, my friends and family, generally the consensus was, yeah, we're not surprised, because you always were kind of one of the lads, And I can see what they mean. I've always had a tendency to wear, brogues and suits and ties. Phil and I have a little bit of competition on this, comparing our tailoring. But I don't know, I've never been entirely able to kind of pin down identity, I wore these kind of things so much as a teenager, I'm pretty certain my mum thought I was trans. I'm not. But she was completely cool with it, bless her, even in Norfolk in the 1980s, which I think is amazing. But I can't imagine how I personally would ever want to swap nice, soft, warm breasts for it's got veins. Sorry, back in the room. But seriously, I'm always very impressed by people who have a really, really clear sense of their own identity. Like Catherine, my wife, she knew when she was 4 years old that she liked women better than men. She couldn't put a name on it. I mean, to be fair, she's from Bristol, so they probably had invented lesbians. But she couldn't have said that's what she was. But she knew for definite, because she was watching Calamity Jane with her family. And she has, to this day, not forgiven Clam for ditching Katie, the best friend, to go and marry, in Catherine's words, some sweaty, hairy cowboy. And she's never looked back. But me, I don't know, one of the lads, yes, I know what they mean, but I've never been comfortable kind of adopting that classic butch lesbian label. Because, don't get me wrong, I love a power tool, right? I own 4 different sanders, 4. And I use them all for different jobs, it's very specific. But I also really love dressing up and I love glitter. Yay! So I've decided that, you know, in some alternate timeline, I was born as a boy and I grew up to be a drag queen. So my wife and I have been married, we've been together for nearly 11 years now. And over those years, we have come to realise something significant, that almost all of her family and my family are neurosparkly in some way, except for her. Now, let me give you a little bit of context. Catherine is a specialist autism teacher for Birmingham City Council. So, you know, she really knows her shit. Which I think means that for her, living with us is a little bit like that woman in the 70s who lived with gorillas. But for us, she's the special needs. Oh, yes. And I find myself watching her sometimes doing things. And I shouldn't do it really, it's not fair. But I just can't help it, I'm fascinated. And every now and then the little voice inside my head that's going, why are you doing it like that? The wrong way. When you could be doing it properly. Like I do it. And sometimes that voice just can't stay inside. And I just have to say something. And it goes something like this. It goes, I love you. Don't take this the wrong way, but why are you doing it like that? And at this point, she will do one of 2 things. She will either look at me and go, fuck off. Which, let's be honest, it's fair, isn't it? It's fair. Or she will say something that quite frankly terrifies me. She will look up, slightly bemused, and go, oh, I don't know, I wasn't thinking. I'm sorry, how does that work? Do you mean to tell me that you don't have some kind of subroutine running in your brain, analysing every single thing you do and say, pointing out how much you screwed up, what you should have done better the next time? Apparently not. She has autopilot. And the reason this terrifies me is that if you believe what we're told, which is that neurotypicals are the majority of the world's population, they're certainly not the majority of the world's comedians, I tell you that. But that means that they are running shit. And half the time, they haven't got a clue what they're doing. So how is it, I wonder, that the world has already completely ground to a halt? Well, I have a theory, and my theory is that we have stashed neurospicy individuals in all the really important places, okay? Like air traffic control. Okay? Do you need to be absolutely precise and make sure that things don't fly into one another at high altitude? Get yourself an autistic. Or, and this is something that Sarah touched on. Sarah? I've got your name right. I'm terrible at names. Crisis management. Okay? Crisis management is a very specialist, complex task, and you want somebody with a lot of experience. In which case, as she pointed out, you need somebody with ADHD. Because we live in constant crisis, and quite frankly, managing yours is a hell of a lot easier than dealing with our own. So, I wonder how society ever, managed to get off its arse around the campfire and spread over the world. And I've decided it's because, the ADHD kids are kind of going, what's over there, and what happens if I do this? I'm going to follow them. And how come they had a campfire in the first place? Well, I have a theory about that too, because I think there's only one kind of individual that can sit there for hour upon hour banging together 2 stones. Admittedly, they were probably only doing it because it made a really cool sound. But they got a spark and a fire, and I am certain that fire was brought to the human race courtesy of autism. Yay! So I'm going to leave you on this. The next time you are, dreading that family party because the one weird uncle who wants to talk about his train set, or, rolling your eyes because yet another comedian's talking about their ADHD diagnosis, or maybe some random woman offers you her cherry at dinner, just remember, we're the reason you're all still alive.